Hello students, this is your English lesson. Today we are going to read Unit 6, The Machine Stops from Oxford Modern English Book 7. So we start our lesson. First of all, words to know. Correspondents, reporters and regular writers. Dawdling, moving slowly or wasting time. Importunately, persistently, persistently. Isolation, being or keeping apart from others. Melodious, pleasant sounding. Nuances, nuances, subtle differences in meaning or detail. Pneumatic post, sending messages in tubes powered by air. Radiance, softly glowing light. Swaddled, tightly wrapped in a cloth or garment, often used to describe babies. Now come to the reading. Imagine, if you can, a small room, hexagonal, having 6 straight sides and 6 angles. Hexagonal in shape like the cell of a bee. It is lighted neither by a window nor by a lamp, yet it is filled with a soft radiance, softly glowing light. There are no openings for ventilation, the provision of fresh air to a room, building, etc. Yet the air is fresh. There are no musical instruments, and yet at this moment this room is throbbing with melodious sounds, beating with a strong, regular rhythm. An armchair is in the center, by its side a reading desk, that is all the furniture, and in the armchair there sits a swaddled lump of flesh, swaddled, wrapped in garments or cloth, and the lump is a compact mass of a substance, especially one without a definite or regular shape. A woman about 5 feet high with a face as white as a fungus. Fungus, a plant that has no flowers, leaves, or green coloring. It is to her that the little room belongs. An electric bell rang. The woman touched a switch and the music was silent. I suppose I must see who it is, she thought, and set her chair in motion. The chair, like the music, was worked by machinery, and it rolled her to the other side of the room, where the bell still rang importunately troublesome, sometimes annoyingly. Who is it? She called. Her voice was irritable, for she had been interrupted often since the music began. Ir- interrupted to stop someone from speaking or doing something. She knew several thousand people in certain directions. Human communication had advanced enormously to a very great degree. But when she listened into the receiver, her white face wrinkled into smile, wrinkled of skin having small lines because of old age. I will isolate myself. Isolate, we can say to be or remain alone. I will isolate myself. I do not expect anything important will happen for the next 5 minutes, for I can give you full 5 minutes canoe. Then I must deliver my lecture on music during the Australian period. She touched the isolation knob, a rounded lump or bell, especially at the end. so that no one else could speak to her. Then she touched the lighting switches, and the little room was plunged into darkness. Plunged, pushed, or thrust quickly. Be quick, she called, her irritation returning. Be quick, Kunu. Here I am in the dark, wasting my time. But it was fully 15 seconds before the round plate that she held in her hands began to glow. A faint blue light shot across it. Faint, not clear or plain, and presently she could see the image of her son, who lived on the other side of the earth, and he could see her. Kunu, how slow you are! He smiled gravely in a serious or solemn manner. I really believe you enjoy dawdling. Dawdling? Waste time and be slow. I have called you before, mother, but you were always busy or isolated. I have something particular to say. What is it, dearest? Why? Be quick. Why could you not send it by pneumatic post? Pneumatic, containing or operated by air. Because I prefer saying such a thing. Well, I want you to come and see me. Vashti washed his face in the blue plate. But I can see you, she exclaimed. What more do you want? I want to see you not through the machine, said Kunu. I want to speak to you not through the wearisome machine. Wearisome, causing one to feel tired or bored. Oh, hush, said his mother, vaguely shocked, vaguely in a way that is uncertain, indefinite, or unclear. You mustn't say anything against the machine. Why not? One mustn't. You talk as if a god has made the machine, cried Kunu. I believe that you pray to it when you are unhappy. Man made it. Do not forget that. Great man. But man, the machine is much, but it is not everything. I see something like you in this plate, but I do not see you. I hear something like you through this telephone, but I do not hear you. That is why I want you to come. Pay me a visit so that we can meet face to face and talk about the hopes that are in my mind. She replied that she could scarcely spare the time for a visit. Scarcely, only just almost not. The airship barely takes 2 days to fly between me and you. Barely, only just, almost not. I dislike airships. Why? I dislike seeing the horrible brown earth. Horrible, causing or likely to cause horror. And the sea and the stars when it is dark. I get no ideas in an airship. I do not get them anywhere else. What kind of ideas can the air give you? He paused for an instant. Instant, happening or coming immediately. Do you not know four big stars that form an oblong? Oblong, a rectangular object, and three stars close together in the middle of the oblong. And hanging from these stars, three other stars? No, I do not. I dislike the stars. But did they give you an idea? How interesting! Tell me. I had an idea that they were like a man. I do not understand. The four big stars are the man's shoulders and his knees. The three stars in the middle are like the belts that men wore once, and the three stars hanging are like a sword. A sword? Men carried swords about with them to kill animals and other men. It does not strike me as a very good idea, but it is certainly original. When did it come to you first? In the airship. He broke off, and she fancied that he looked sad. She could not be sure, for the machine did not transmit nonsense of expression. Nonsense? a subtle difference in shade of meaning, expression, or sound. It only gave a general idea of people, an idea that was good enough for all particular purposes. Vashti thought. The finer details of expression was rightly ignored by the machine, just as the finer detail of the grape was ignored by the manufacturers of artificial fruit. Something good enough had long since been accepted by our race. The truth is, he continued, that I want to see these stars again. They are curious stars, curious, eager to know or learn something. I want to see them not from the airship, but from the surface of the earth, as our ancestors did. Ancestors or ancestor, any member of your family from long ago, for example, the grandparents of your grandparents. Ancestors did. Thousands of years ago, I want to visit the surface of the earth. She was shocked again. Mother, you must come, if only to explain to me what is the harm of visiting the surface of the earth. No harm, she replied, controlling herself, but no advantage. The surface of the earth is only dust and mud. No life remains on it, and you would need it. You would need a respirator. Respirator, an apparatus worn over the mouth and nose to prevent the inhalation of dust, smoke, etc. Or the cold of the outer air would kill you. One dies immediately in the outer air. I know, of course, I shall take all precautions. Precaution, a measure taken in advance to prevent something dangerous, unpleasant, or inconvenient from happening. And besides, well, she considered and chose her words with care. Her son had an odd personality, and she wished to dissuade him from the expedition. Odd, strange, dissuade, discourage. It is contrary to the spirit of the age, she asserted. Asserted cause others to recognize by a confident and forceful behavior. Do you mean by that contrary to the machine? In a sense, but his image in the blue plate faded. Canoe! He had isolated himself. For a moment Vashti felt lonely. Then she generated the light, and the sight of her room, flooded with radiance and studded with electric buttons, revived her. Revived? Restored to life or consciousness. There were buttons and switches everywhere, buttons to call for food, for music, for clothing. There was the hot bath button, by pressure of which a basin of imitation marble rose out of the floor, filled to the brim with a warm, deodorized liquid. Deodorized, remove unpleasant odor. There was the cold bath button. There was the button that produced literature. And there were, of course, the buttons by which she communicated with her friends. The room thought it contained nothing, was in touch with all that she cared for in the world. Vashti's next move was to turn off the isolation switch, and all the accumulations of the last 3 minutes burst upon her. The room was filled with the noise of bells and speaking tubes. What was the new food like? Could she recommend it? Has she had any ideas lately? Might one tell her one's own ideas? Would she make an engagement to visit the public nurseries at an early date? Say this day, month. To most of these questions she replied with irritation, a growing quality in that accelerated age. accelerated, especially if a vehicle began to move more quickly. She said that the new food was horrible, then she could not visit the public nurseries through the press of engagements, that she had no ideas of her own but had just been told one, that four stars and three in the middle were like a man. She doubted there was much in it. Then she switched off her correspondence, for it was time to deliver her lecture on Australian music. The clumsy system of public gatherings had been long since abandoned. Clumsy, difficult to handle or use. Abandoned, to leave behind or run away from someone or something. Neither Vashti nor her audience stirred from their rooms, stirred, move, or caused to move slowly. Seated in her armchair, she spoke while they in their armchairs heard her fairly well and saw her fairly well. Her lecture, which lasted 10 minutes, was well received, and at its conclusion, she and many of her audience listened to a lecture on the sea. There were ideas to be got from the sea. The speaker had donned a respirator and visited it lately. Then she fed, talked to many friends, had a bath, talked again, and summoned her bed. The bed was not to her liking. It was too large, and she had a feeling for a small bed. Complaint was useless, for beds were of the same dimension all over the world, and to have had an alternative size would have involved vast alterations in the machine. Vashti isolated herself. It was necessary, for neither day nor night existed under the ground, and reviewed all that had happened since she had summoned the bed last. Ideas? Scarcely any. Events? Was Kunu's invitation an event? Should she take an airship and visit him? Now come to the exercises. A. Comprehension. Answer the following questions. A. Who are Vashti and Kanu? Answer. Vashti is a woman and Kanu is her son. B. Why can Vashti only talk to Kanu for 5 minutes? Answer. Vashti is due to deliver her lecture on music during the Australian period in 5 minutes. See, how does Vashti move around her room? Answer. In a mechanical chair. People do not move about independently in this world. D. Why doesn't Vashti want to travel in the airship? Answer. Vashti doesn't want to travel in the airship because she dislikes seeing the horrible brown earth and the sea and the stars in the dark. She also says she gets no ideas in an airship. She is separate from the real world because the world outside the machine is contaminated. E. What does Kunu say that shocks Vashti? Answer. Kunu says that he wants to speak to his mother, not through the worrisome machine. Vashti is shocked that he says something negative about the machine. F. What details do we learn about the rooms that people live in the underground world? Answer. The rooms are small, hexagonal, and lit by a soft radiance which can be turned up or down. They have some kind of ventilation system, not windows. Music is played in them. Each room contains a chair and a reading desk and lots of buttons and switches with which the occupant can call for food, music, clothing, a hot or cold bath, or a bed. There are also speaking tubes and communication buttons so that she can talk to people. This question is more difficult. Discuss it first. G. What do we learn about Vashti and Kunu's personalities? Answer. Vashti is more obedient and unquestioning and seems to accept life in the machine without question. Vashti, Vashti views Kunu's personality as odd because he questions the machine and wants to do things contrary to the spirit of the machine. 2. Answer the following with reference to context. A. And in the armchair there sits a swaddled lump of flesh, a woman about 5 feet high with a face as white as a fungus. 1. Who is the woman? Answer. Vashti. 2. What does the description swaddled lump of flesh show about her? Answer. She is wrapped up like a baby. She is not very fit, and it seems like she does not move around much. 3. What does the comparison face as white as a fungus show about her? Answer. It conveys the impression that she is pale, overweight, unhealthy looking, shapeless, and perhaps somewhat unattractive. B. Vashti's next move was to turn off the isolation switch, and all the communications of the last 3 minutes burst upon her. The room was filled with the noise of bells and speaking tubes. 1. When does this happen? Answer. When Vashti has finished speaking to Kunu. See, she knew several thousand people in certain directions. Human communication had advanced enormously. 1. How does Vashti communicate with the people she knows? What kind of things do they communicate about? Answer. Vashti communicates with the people she knows through speaking tubes and screens. Blue plates people no longer meet up in person. They communicate about ideas from the examples given. These are not particularly complicated. 2. What does the author imply by the use of the phrase in certain directions? Answer. The author seems to imply that human communication has not advanced in other directions by the use of the phrase in certain directions. This suggests this suggests that although Vashti is in contact with several thousand people through the use of advanced technology such as the speaking tubes, there is something missing. The machine ignores the finer details of communication. 3. How could we view Vashti's words, ways of communicating as negative? Answer. Vashti's words, ways of communicating do not include face-to-face interaction and seems to rely on small sound bites of information being shared by many people. Humans are sociable creatures, and Vashti's words machine seems to have isolated each human away from all others. E. The clumsy system of public gatherings had been long since abandoned. Neither Vashti nor her audience stirred from their rooms. 1. What is meant by the following phrases? System of public gatherings. It means or it refers to face meetings which in the world of the story no longer happen. Stirred from their rooms. This means moved out of their rooms in the world of the story. Everyone stayed in their own room all the time. Write the sentence out in your own words. Keep the meaning. Here we can say the old way of meeting face to face was considered awkward and difficult and no longer happened. Vashiti and everyone else never left their room. F. His image in the blue plate faded. Kunu! He had isolated himself. 1. What makes Kunu isolate himself? Answer. Kunu isolates himself when his mother tries to dissuade him from visiting the surface of the earth because he feels that it goes against the machine. 2. What does isolated himself mean in the story? Ein answer. In the story, isolated himself means that Kunu has turned on the isolation knob in his room so that no one can speak to him through the speaking tubes or through the blue plate. 3. How does Vashiti feel after this? Answer. She feels lonely after this. P. Working with words. Complete the following. See if you can think of any new comparisons apart from the obvious ones which you have read before. A. As busy as a bee. B. As false as dice. C. As stiff as a board. D. As red as beetroot. E. As black as coal. F. As heavy as lead. G. As gay as a lark. H. As happy as a lark or as happy as a king. I. As rich as a Jew. J. As clean as a whistle. K. As furious as a lion. L. As fragile as a leaf. M. As regular as a clock. And as tough as old boots. O. As plain as day. Punctuate the following using inverted commas where necessary. A. Dr. Livingstone explored darkest Africa. Here, Dr. Livingstone explored. Here we have to put inverted comma darkest Africa. We have to put inverted comma around darkest Africa because he explored darkest Africa. B. They can't come tomorrow. She said sadly. They can't come tomorrow is a statement. So we have to write this statement in inverted commas. C. But his comments were not necessary. This is again a statement he pointed out. So we have to write this statement in inverted commas. D. Have you read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? He inquired. So this is a question. We have to put this question in inverted commas. E. Exit is really a Latin word which means he goes off. What does it mean? It means he goes off. So we have to write, we have to put inverted commas around the meaning he goes off. F. Did you shout? Get out, she asked. Get out should be inverted commas because this is the order. G. Parlez was Français? He asked in a very posh accent. We have to put the name in inverted commas. H. The Mountain Lion by D. H. Lawrence is a fine poem. Here we have to write the poem in inverted commas. The mountain lion. Whatever it is, he said, I intend to find out. Whatever it is, we have to write in inverted commas, start from whatever and put comma after is. Again, he said, what does he say? Yeah, what did he say? I intend to find out. This is in another statement, so we have to put inverted commas here. D. Listening and speaking. A. Which piece of new technology would you most like to own? Answer. The internet is the best technology that I like most because it makes our life easier than before, especially the way of communication and getting information done. Remarkable change in our life. B. What are some of the problems caused by mobile phones? Answer. Excess usage of mobile phones may cause headache, decreased attention, shortness of temper, sleep disorders, and depression, mostly among teenagers. C. Which modern invention has had the biggest impact on young people? Answer. The smart mobile phone is the modern invention that has had the biggest impact on young people. D. How has technology helped people with their health? Answer. The internet has become our main source of medical information. Healthcare facilities are reaching patients using social media. Furthermore, better equipment has allowed doctors to provide more comprehensive care and treatment. D. How has technology helped people with their health? Answer. The internet has become a main source of medical information. Healthcare facilities are reaching patients using social media. Furthermore, better equipment has allowed doctors to provide more comprehensive care and treatment. E. Do new technologies make humans lazy? Answer. Yes, technology makes us lazy bones. These days, these days, humans avoid social interaction, like don't go for shopping and eating at a restaurant. Rather, they prefer to order online. They use luxury lifts instead of stairs for walk. F. What kind of technologies will there be in the future? Answer. Virtual reality and augmented reality technologies will be used in the future. G. How has technology helped humans to make things? Answer. 3D printing technologies helped humans to make things by just pushing some buttons on computer. H. How has technology helped humans to find out more about the universe? Answer. With the invention of modern spaceship and highly advanced telescope, it becomes very easy for humans to find and investigate about universe secrets. I. Can technology be used to solve the world's problems? Answer. Yes. Whether it is clean energy, robotics, quantum computing, synthetic biology, telemedicine, cloud education, 3D printing technologies, virtual reality, and augmented reality. It can solve all the biggest problems confronting mankind. J. Do humans use technology well? Answer. Human beings are social creatures. Humans need to interact with other humans. Human society is too dependent on technology. Technology is the tool. Its usage may be good or bad, and it varies from person to person. Thanks for listening. For new videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. And if you like my videos, please share and like.